Hey, friends, and welcome back to the Rev Rx Podcast. We have a very special episode today. This is actually an episode where I'm partnering with a global podcastathon. And the purpose of this is to bring awareness and to bring value to nonprofits, to charities that are meaningful to us. So when I first found out about this, I couldn't wait. I immediately had the charity of my choice that's near and dear to my heart. And I reached out to Sarah. Her and her husband, William, are in sunny Arizona, and they're leading the Buddy Club organization there. So I knew that we had to get them on the show and make them part of this podcast-thon experience. So Sarah is not a stranger to the podcast. She's my sister-in-law, for one. But then, two, you guys have heard her in a previous episode where her and William talk about her life with twins with Down syndrome. And actually 4 kids now. The life is even more exciting these days. But Sarah, welcome to the show, and really glad you're here and glad you could be a part of this.
Well, thank you, Chad. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And just to recap, can you kind of give a brief overview of your story? Now, of course, I'm going to link your previous episode here so everyone can kind of understand the full aspect of you guys' last several years of your life. But just a recap of who you are and your family and kind of what you're doing.
Yeah, so I'm Sarah. My husband's name is William. He couldn't come today. But yeah, our life has drastically changed in the last 7 years from what we expected it ever would be. We have 4 beautiful girls. We have twins, Katie and Madison, who are 7 years old, just turned 7, and they have Down syndrome and autism. And our 5-year-old is Charlotte. And our just turned 2-year-old is Harper. We have a very loud, chaotic home, but we were kind of just thrown into the special needs world 7 years ago when we had our twins, and it has changed the trajectory of our work, home, personal, church life, all of it.
Yeah. So you and William are co-pastors there in Arizona, and one of the things that struck me, so of course, you go through the shock of finding out about the diagnosis of Katie and Madison, and then you started this life as special needs family. One of the things that struck me was you went to church, and you kind of realized that churches aren't equipped to really handle families with special needs, right?
Yeah, so like you said, my husband and I are pastors. We've both grown up in the church, very involved. So when we had our girls, we were in Florida, and we just were never involved in the special needs world. Now, when we first had our girls in Florida, the church was equipped for that. They were babies. They were toddlers, easy to take care of, and they wrapped their arms around us, took care of us. And as the girls get older, our church has expanded to take care of them. But as I've gotten into the special needs world, I found out very quickly that not everyone has had that same experience. A lot of my friends have not that the church is intentionally pushing them away, but that no intentional space was made for them. And it just broke my heart open that people who want to be a part of the church aren't feeling fully included. Their whole family isn't included. And we wanted to do something about that.
One of the things that I've heard you say before is it's kind of staggering the amount of special needs families that aren't in church, not because they've turned away from their faith. They're still practicing their faith, but they've stopped coming to church because they just haven't found a home there. And as you've connected with other special needs families, you've kind of found that to be the case, right?
Yeah. Some people, it's because their child or their loved one with a disability they're still in diapers in elementary school or as teens or adults. And they've been told, well, you can come, but you need to come back and forth to change your child's diaper. Or you can come, but you also need to volunteer in their classroom because we don't know how to deal with their behaviors. And in theory, if we believe what we say, that absolutely everyone is welcome in the church and that we're a family, we should be reaching out to all the family, not just the ones who look and act like us.
That's good. And it's one of those things where there's no judgment or condemnation there. Nobody's doing that intentionally, but unless you've had a need for that and really recognize that need and have been intentional about it, you probably just don't have that in your church. And so you and William, I think last time we left off hearing your story, and what a wonderful story of grace that has been, about how God has just really been a part of your journey from 7 years ago to today. And he's still working, isn't he? You guys have started a nonprofit, and that's kind of the focal point of our episode today, Buddy Club. And so I'd love for you to talk about, all this kind of stemmed from your experience in speaking with other special needs families, and the exact thing we've been talking about, which is there doesn't seem to be a space for a lot of people. I mean, we know that churches are loving places, so how do we make room?
Yeah. And so It's actually been 3 years this March that we've been running a club like this. We started with another nonprofit called All Stars Club, who gave us the framework and kind of how to do that. And we quickly realized that this was going to be a much bigger thing, that this wasn't just going to be respite nights. It was going to be multiple ages and training in churches and providing resources for churches. We started our own, are still working on 503 status, but we are sponsored under our church right now as a nonprofit. And so it's called Buddy Club. And what we do is once a month, which we are hoping to open it up to multiple times a month pretty soon, we open the church doors, we clear out the sanctuary. Our sanctuary has chairs, and so we can move those, and we move out everything. We put adaptive sports equipment in that space, and we have like wheelchair accessible hoops, little cornhole toss, the big Tetris from Costco, and just things like that all across, spaced out the sanctuary. And we have a craft area, a karaoke area, and a sensory room. And what we do is we ask volunteers from our community to pair up one-on-one with individuals with disabilities. So we start at 6 years old. We're hoping to open up one for younger kids and for siblings of the kids with disabilities. And we just welcome parents to bring their loved one who has a developmental disability, and we pair them up one-on-one with a volunteer so that that individual has a great night. The karaoke is usually hopping. It's really fun. Like if you're ever able to be a part of one, we don't have a problem retaining volunteers because once they come one time, they want to come every single month. They just have a really wonderful time. If they need a sensory break, they can go into the sensory room. And we have medical volunteers to handle any challenges that way with, diapers, or if there was to be an incident, they would be able to handle that. And safety volunteers watching the doors so that no one elopes, because that's my kids.
Yep.
They're going to try and run for the parking lot.
That's Katie
Any
Madison.
chance they get. Yep. Literally did that last night. But yeah, so that's the idea. And then what happens is those parents or the caregivers of those people, they get to have a night of respite. They don't pay anything. They don't have to meet any kind of requirements. There's nothing. They just leave their loved one, and they give us, pertinent information and register and all that. But there's no requirements. And they can go have a date night, or they can go with their neurotypical sibling. They can take them out on a one-on-one time, or they can, if they want to, they can stick around. We do have a parent room. We have some parents who just aren't quite ready to leave them yet. And so they'll stick around in the parent room. Or lately we've been partnering with another local organization where they meet up at a restaurant down the road, and they all chat and hang out and provide resources for each other. So
kind of a support
it's just
group.
It's just a way to meet a very practical need, it's called respite. And that's what we do.
Can you speak a little bit to that need for respite?
Yeah.
I think that's something that maybe, unless you've been a part of it or you have family members who've been a part of what it looks like to take care of special needs children, you don't understand how taxing and how rewarding, but how tiring that can be. Can you share some of that out of your personal experience?
Yeah, I'll start by saying we do not regret our girls one bit ever. We are so honored to be their parents. But the world of special needs parenting is really difficult. William and I are lucky to have each other and to have support both ways and from our family and everything like that. But the reality is we hear a lot about the mental load of parents, and we do carry that, who's going to do the dishes and laundry and all those things. But on top of that, we are carrying a mental load of my 7-year-old is going to strip first thing in the morning and ruin their room. And I have to either preempt that, or I have to deal with it first thing in the morning, or I have to put safety locks high up on every door because my child doesn't know not to run out into the road. So it's like you're living in this toddler intensity for so much longer than you ever anticipated doing that. Or if they're nonverbal, am I meeting their needs? Are they able to tell me what they want through a device or gesturing or whatever? Are they happy? Are they satisfied with their life? And you carry this mental load that's so much on top of a typical parent that sometimes you just need a break. And it's not that we're trying to get away from our kids or anything like that. It's more of, we just need to know that they're safe and loved and they're having a fun time. But we need to get some things done, or we need to spend time with their typical siblings or anything like that. So the state of Arizona is actually wonderful. They provide a lot of resources that other states don't have. one of the things they do provide is paid respite. So you should, in theory, be able to get a night off per week where a respite provider comes and takes care of your loved one with a disability over
Very
the
nice.
age of 3.
Yeah.
In theory. But the reality is, it is very difficult to find a provider who, one, is good and you can trust them to be in your home while you're gone, and two, sticks around. There's a really high turnover. And so for us, we would have to find 2 respite providers, and we would have to find childcare for our other kids too. And it just doesn't work out
In
for
reality.
that a lot of times. Yeah, in reality, the respite just doesn't always work out. Not to say that Arizona's not doing their best, because they are, but it's just not a steady, consistent respite. So one of the things with Buddy Club is that we have a few rules. One is that you are never alone with your buddy, and you never leave your buddy alone. And the idea with that is there's always an extra layer of protection so that people who drop off their kids can know they are never going to be out of the sight of at least 2 volunteers, and they're going to be safe in this area. And there's no even hint of anything being not kosher.
And unfortunately, we live in a world where you have to have those safeguards, but it's really smart to put that into place. And not to mention, and I know y'all's story, not to mention all the medical needs, all the insurance companies. And I've seen some of your posts and I'm like, oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
All of this just takes so much out of you. And, and it's not about getting away from your kid, any more than it is about, with other parents. Hey, sometimes in order to be my best, I need to be able to take care of me for a little bit.
Yeah. When I'm not supposed to be working.
Exactly. Just be able to turn things off and do something life-giving.
School. When you take them to school, you go to work, or or if you're a homemaker, you take care of the house. This is something that is just for you time.
Yeah.
Which is, that's a whole nother.
So much needed for the caregivers and for the parents, but then also such a fun opportunity for those kids. And I've seen videos and I've seen pictures of that, and maybe we can work it out where I can come over and take part in some of that, because that's really interesting to me. But I love what you're doing with that, and it meets so many needs on so many levels. But you've taken it a step further, and that you're in one location and people who live close to you can take advantage of that. But one of the things I like about Buddy Club is that you're also partnering with other churches around the country to be able to say, this is something you can do where you are. Can you share a little bit about how you're partnering with churches, and what are some of the biggest barriers to special needs families being accepted in the church and finding a place in the church that you're able to help with?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the approaches that William and I have taken because usually people talk about bringing people into the church. Most of the people who attend Buddy Club, they don't go to our church. They are in our community, and we're just providing a service to help them know that they are loved, because we're playing the long game. It's not a game, but you understand the idea. We're trying to show people that God is good. Whether you come to our church, you go to a different church, or you don't go to church at all.
Yeah, there's no agenda.
There's no agenda here. We're trying to show people the love of Christ, and this is the best way that we know how to do it. So from a church's standpoint, most of the time, it seems like there's this barrier, this mental barrier of the what ifs. What if a kid comes and they have a seizure? What if a kid comes and they bite a volunteer? What if a kid comes and they XYZ? Mm-hmm. They run away or they destroy property, whatever. There are these mental barriers, but in reality, the accommodations that need to be made for a child with special needs to attend are not that extreme. For an event like a respite event where you're dropping off your loved one, and that applies whether they're 6 or they're 60, those kinds of things apply. But if it's something like a respite night where you're dropping someone off, yes, you need to have a safety volunteer and a medical volunteer because their parent or caregiver is not there. But for a regular Sunday, whenever you are thinking about welcoming people into your church, the biggest thing is you need an invitation. You need to go to those communities and ask them to be a part of your church. Worship needs to involve everyone. Our church isn't complete until it has all of its people. And that invitation is really the biggest first step. There are some practical things that are very simple. So downstairs in our kids building, they have the little half doors that only open from the outside. That works great until the kids are old enough and tall enough to cross over those, which my kids are now. So our early childhood person adapted. She got door chimes. And that way the people who are their teachers or whoever in the class can hear that chime and know that someone's left the room.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can catch them. You can do door chimes, security cameras. Usually churches are private property and they can have security cameras in public places just to prevent anything like that. And then just having volunteers who are willing to be flexible, to know that not all kids are going to sit in a structured classroom. Not all youth group participants are going to understand the rules of dodgeball. But in reality, which neurotypical 11-year-old knows that anyway?
Right.
Anyway, there are some very simple accommodations you can make, and it comes down to a case-by-case basis. So what we do at our church right now is whenever there is a new family who has a child with special needs, we have them fill out a intake form, which is very simple, again, because we don't want to overwhelm them, but just says, what's a trigger? What are common behaviors? What should we expect? And does XYZ help them calm down? So if they're having a meltdown or having a dysregulated moment, we know that bouncing helps them, or bouncing really doesn't help them. And just certain things that might trigger them to help them be able to go back into the classroom.
Good idea.
Because we want, a lot of places do take the approach of having a separate classroom for people with special needs. And you might have people that are 6 years old and 15 years old in that room or whatever. That is a model that people do. But we prefer an integrated approach where our neurotypical kids are having exposure in a safe environment, so that when they go out into their schools, they know how to interact with people with disabilities. And our people with disabilities are having typical relationships like any other kid. And it just takes a little bit of patience and an open mind to what that looks like.
I think that's important. Being able to have exposure to, to kids with special needs, especially as you're raising kids. Because let me give you a situation. There's someone who I know, their kid went to church, and it was kind of their first time going to church, and they didn't know what to expect. Well, there's a special needs child in the kids class, and he was like shouting and just all over the place. And the kid I was talking about, it was his first time there. Like that was his first experience with someone like that. And to start with, he was really scared, to be honest. Like that's scary for I think he was maybe 5 or 6 years old, That's scary for someone when people don't normally behave in that way, and then you enter that environment and what are they doing? But like the more they've attended, the more regular that has become. And you never know what's going to open up in the heart of somebody when they're exposed to this more and more. We don't need a community that's afraid of people different than us. We need a community that accepts everyone as a child of God, as made in God's image, and that includes that special needs family as well. And so that's so important to not just kind of keep them separated and keep them segregated. I think we need that exposure and we need that acceptance. And again, this is not stuff that I just innately thought. I've been along with your journey too, and I've learned so much through the process. And you guys are doing a great job educating and helping the world see, okay, here's what it looks like from the inside, and here are some things you can do that help.
Thank you.
So I really like that. And then I wondered about that model. Like, is it better to keep them separate or better to put them together? And I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, and there's different streams of thought on that. But like, I even think about my 5-year-old Charlotte. She has questions. She's used to her sister's behavior, but their behavior isn't the same as every other kid. And so
Exactly.
It's not about trying to tell people anyone can do whatever they want. It's about teaching them to ask questions and maybe understand why a person is having verbal stems like you're talking about. Or Katie is really into going, that's her thing right now. She does that all the time. And her teacher last night at church came up to me and she said, me and Katie were just back and forth all night, just talking about it. But just
she loved it.
Helping kids to understand that not everyone thinks the same way and it's okay, and teaching them about differences.
Yeah, that's important. And that's gospel shaped, in my opinion. I think that's a beautiful thing. One of the things you're doing too is you're bringing awareness. So not only are you partnering with churches, not only are you hosting the events there, but you're bringing awareness. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to partner with you, because I want to bring awareness to as part of this Podcasthon. And you do events, right? So you've got a pretty cool event coming up in April. Can you tell us about the 5K, right?
Yeah, so this is my first time hosting a 5K. We've participated in one last year as a group, but this, like I said, we're a nonprofit, so we are raising operating funds and all that kind of thing for the year. And we would love to expand. We have we have the potential okay from 2 different locations this year, and we really want to open those up, but we're going to need to raise some funds to do that. So April 25th, we are having a 5K in person and virtual. And a local Catholic private school has donated their track and field for us to use. So they have an enclosed track that's fenced in, bleachers, the whole 9 yards. So it's safe for our little elopers. It's maybe more wheelchair accessible or stroller friendly because it's a paved track. So what we're doing is we are asking people all over the US, all over the globe to form teams. And there are incentives for the teams, like t-shirts and just fun little prizes and things like that. But we are trying to get people to really join in the mission and raise awareness and exposure for what Buddy Club is and what it could be for churches all over the place. So yeah, that's April 25th. The virtual runners can do it anytime that week. We just said, please run it, within a week. And you have all of the flyers and the logos and everything. So yeah, we're just very excited about doing that.
I'll put links and everything in the show notes to register. So wherever you are in the world, you can go on here. You can sign up to race virtually, and if you just want to support the cause, that's part of it too. What comes with registration? So I guess you is it an online registration form, and you just fill all that out?
Yeah, so there's an online registration, and there are different things. So if you purchase in person, it is $30. There's an early bird till March 15th that is $25. That comes with your race bib, your medal, parking. It comes with all of that. You can purchase a t-shirt separately, but most people who fundraise will get one for free. I think it's once you reach like $100, you get a free shirt. There is the virtual option, which is free. You get your race bib and certificate mailed to you. Or if you want to purchase the medal and all of that and get it sent to you, there's an add-on fee for that. Kids under 5 are free. I think that's all of the tiers. And then if you create a team, which is 5 people or more, the captain of the team gets a free registration.
So wherever you are, you can sign up to race this thing virtually. You'll get the bib and you'll get all of that, and then get those t-shirts too. Like that's one way you can wear it with pride, and you can know that you're supporting an organization that's really making a difference. So you guys check that out. This is going to be releasing mid-March, and so you've got a full month and a half or so to get that in. But Sarah, man, what a big difference you guys are making. I want to talk a little bit about what happened just a little over a year ago, I guess, with Katie.
Oh yeah,
That happened since our last interview. You have you've posted about it. You've done videos. We've all been watching intently about Katie, and so I'd love to just use this as an opportunity to talk about her a little bit, our little hero. Not to discount Madison, because Madison likes me more than Katie likes me.
that's true.
Their
For everyone,
personalities
Chad.
are different, but yeah, nothing quite like Shar. But had to give her a shout out in the podcast too, Charlotte Sweet. But Katie had some medical difficulties, and a lot of us have been following your journey. So can you give a brief recap of that and kind of how she's doing these days?
Yeah, I didn't realize it had been that long since we last did an interview with you. Yeah, so in 2024, November of 2024, Katie went in for a very typical procedure. They get procedures like once a year at least, do ear tubes, blood work under anesthesia, all that kind of stuff. This was a very simple ENT procedure. Katie usually stays in for a day or two because she has trouble with pain management. If we discharge her too early, she won't eat or drink, and then we end up back in the hospital. So we just stay for a few days. Everything was going fine. She was there for like 3 days. And then one day she started showing with a rash all over her body. And William was at the hospital with her. And he asked the nurses about it. They thought it was an allergic reaction to sheets or just some sort of topical allergic reaction. They gave her Benadryl. And then he asked for a second opinion. They gave her like a viral test, and nothing came up there. And just didn't really catch the symptoms in time. That led to her going downhill very, very fast. It went within 30 minutes. She was sitting up and like singing to her songs. to having CPR and being put on ECMO. And it turned out that she had full septic shock. So she was on complete life support for about a week. We didn't know if she was going to survive, or if she did survive, what kind of lasting effects that would have. Brain damage and whatnot is what you think. She underwent CPR for 45 minutes, like 7 rounds of CPR before they were able to get her stabilized on ECMO, which circulates all of the blood in your body for you. So it's like an external pump that pumps your blood. It's crazy that it's so good. So she did that. We reached out to everyone around the world for prayer. And we literally had people in India, in the UK, everywhere praying for her. And about a week after she went down, she got a heartbeat. And they were able to take her off ECMO. And then a couple of weeks later, they took her off the breathing machine, the ventilator. And they did EKGs, they did all kinds of scans, and she came back with 0 brain damage, no seizures.
Praise the Lord.
Which was, they had prepared us for the seizures.
Yeah.
Because they thought that would just follow. None of that. Had a long time in recovery. We were in the hospital for a few months. She got a feeding tube. She had a lot of weakness from not using her muscles. We did all the kind of recovery stuff with her.
Mm-hmm.
We were in there for a while, but overall, she recovered fully. She since has been able to lose the feeding tube. She just has a few extra scars. She had a lot of chest tubes and stuff, so she's got little scars. You see them everywhere, all over her body. But she is truly a miracle. The people in the hospital, they couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe that she came off ECMO so quickly and that she recovered with no brain damage, with nothing.
Yeah.
Just a long recovery, but I'll take that.
That's right. Well,
So,
God's good. We praise Him for that miracle. And it's hard. I was here across the country and just longest week of my life, and I can't imagine you guys where you were. But Katie and Madison are special, and Katie's a little miracle girl. God is working in their lives. God's working in your lives.
Mm-hmm.
And Buddy Club is where it's at. You can have an impact on little girls just like them by partnering with them, by signing up for this 5K, by supporting financially in any way that you can, and just by getting the awareness out. They're created in the image of God, and we want to welcome them just like anyone else. So, well, Sarah, thank you for that. I didn't warn you about asking you that. It's kind of on a whim.
That's okay.
So I appreciate you walking through that. But what a tremendous difference you guys are making, not just in the lives there in Arizona, but I think the sky's the limit with this thing. So, well, Sarah, where can my listeners find out more about Buddy Club and more about what you're doing?
Yeah, so our website is buddyclubrespite.com, or you can find us on Instagram and Facebook. We're on both of those. We're not super active on those yet, but yeah, buddyclubrespite.com, or if you're specifically looking for the 5K, it's buddyclub5k.com. But yeah, look us up on socials or on our website and let us know if you have any questions.
I know I talked to some local people here who have kids with Down syndrome, and they've connected with you online there. So you guys use her as a resource. She loves helping out other families and helping them thrive, just the way that God intended. Well, bless you, Sarah. Great to talk to you again. And thanks for being a guest here on the Rev Rx podcast. You guys are becoming
Thanks.
regulars.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.